So sorry, the sun is a little weird. It's not consistent. I have a light here to hopefully keep the green screen lit even if the sun goes away, but yeah. So it's July 2020. I'm trying a different setup, green screen. I'm going to be kind of using this for my B-roll footage like I did last time, but this time I'm actually going to put it behind me. There's not going to be so much today because I'm just going to be doing more short points instead of long explanations, so yeah. But let's talk about July 2020. So July 2020 has been a really rough month for me. In the beginning it was really starting to affect my mental health and stuff, but we're back and I'm here to talk about all of the news that I've collected from this month. So yeah, let's go. So the first thing is, there's a new mutation of COVID from Europe. It doesn't make people sicker, but it spreads faster. It's probably been around for some time, but they're just starting to find it a little bit more information on it. So the Blue Whale Challenge was another thing that happened this month. If you don't know what that's all about, there's a challenge called the Blue Whale Challenge that was popular a few years ago, but it's recently came back. And what it is it's a challenge where basically somebody is sent and told to do a challenge, and if they don't, they claim that they've hacked their information and that they will hunt them down basically. And it comes to a point where the games get more and more dangerous until the point where it gets to self-harm. And that's something that's been happening this month. And it seems to have died down a bit because social media is taking it pretty seriously and taking a lot of these accounts down, but people have been tricked into doing this game, and its game has been a thing this month, so that's pretty scary. So we all talked about, I know that most people probably know about this, but some of the TikTok stuff that happened this month. It was reverse engineered. People found it collected way more information than it should have, like device information if it was rooted, all the exact network details, unsecure proxy server for video encoding that can be pretty easily exploited. They weren't using HTTPS for the longest time, stuff like that, and they really collected a lot of information. And also there was a thing in Android with TikTok where it was able to download a zip file, unzip it, extract it, and execute it, which shouldn't be anything that an app should be able to do in the background without you knowing. So, cancel culture has been gaining momentum. I think this is due to kind of the fallout from the whole Black Lives Matter and thing that happened with George Floyd. There's kind of a fallout of cancel culture that's happening because of this, which I'm kind of iffy on, but you know, it's something that gets me a little bit worried, and it's definitely, cancel culture has been something that has been happening a lot this month, which is what inspired the title of this video. Speaking of which, shout out again to TTCInsider. This is one of the other names he came up with a few months ago for one of my videos, so shout out to him, check him out, I put his stuff in the description. That's it for the shout out for TTCInsider, but yeah, make sure to check him out. And there's also the Twitter double Bitcoin scam. So basically, they're not sure how this hack happened, I'll get into this, but on big accounts like Barack Obama's, Elon Musk's companies and stuff like that, they started posting that, send us some amount of Bitcoin and we'll double that amount. And basically what happened is they actually sent a lot of money out to those people, and they made quite a lot from what I heard. And basically they tell people to send in Bitcoin, and then they'll double the amount and send it back to them. And they did it on big accounts like Barack Obama, Elon Musk, all these really big people. Now the theory of what happened with the hack exactly, in terms of how the hack was performed, is a lot of people don't think it was actually performed over actually directly hacking all of these accounts. It all happened to verified accounts, and some people have theorized that basically there's some kind of thing within the actual Twitter dashboard in the company that they can actually access, and they were able to backdoor into that and basically post tweets on these people's behalf without directly hacking their accounts. Not naming names, but there's been a lot of talk about crazy people, animal abusers, and pedophiles this month for some reason. I've been seeing it on Twitter, I've been seeing it on Instagram, you know, animal abusers, pedophiles, child abusers. There's been a lot of stuff about that coming out this month. I'm not sure why, but there has been, so that's something of note. So Trudeau government has a contract for $912 million to the We charity. The student program was what they were funding, and they did it through the We charity, and it was a real estate holding foundation. It became the vehicle for the government's sole source contract for the student volunteer program, which has embroiled the Prime Minister in an ethics scandal and triggered committee hearings. Could raise fresh questions for the Liberals. Spike in COVID in Saskatchewan and Hutterite communities. Come on. Let's not do this, man. Let's focus. I can see it already. This is not okay. You know what? It's time for manual focus, please. There. So Trump is dispatching Department of Homeland Security in places with Democratic mayors. Trump says it's now patriotic to wear a mask. He has also been doing Trump has also been doing some daily press briefings, if you want to know more about that. And Trump says he probably won't be accepting the voting results in November. California is now the COVID epicenter. Brazil is second in the world for COVID cases. U.S., particularly Florida, grapples with the worst coronavirus pandemic outbreak. Texas sees deadliest week of the coronavirus pandemic. Medical experts say they should shut down the U.S. again. U.S. surpasses 4 million coronavirus cases. Some Americans think the worst of the pandemic is yet to come. Unemployment claims rose to 1.4 million in the U.S. And I found out a little bit more on the Lebanon situation. I know I mentioned in the last video the Lebanon protests, but I didn't really go into what that whole thing is all about. So I was looking up what's going on in Lebanon with this economic crisis, and here's currently what's going on. There's no water, electricity, or food. With such crazy prices, living there is bad at the moment. There's a shortage of cash and electricity, and they're also resistant to reforms. Courthouse is ground zero in Portland, where federal agents use tear gas, protesters use tear gas and fireworks. Not what we should be doing. Few masks and no social distancing at a Niagara Falls attraction in Canada, the Canada side of Niagara Falls. Major dust cloud coming from the Sahara over the Atlantic Ocean, called Godzilla, hits the US and blankets the Caribbean, bringing extremely high temperatures. South Asia and East Africa are still dealing with a locust outbreak. Huge floods in southern China and central China causing major damage. High tide from Newport Beach floods neighborhoods and Balboa Peninsula. Arctic Circle experiences record-breaking heat wave, 8 degrees above what temperatures normally are. One of the world's coldest regions is experiencing record amounts of wildfires. The warmer climate has created a surge in insects. 3 separate storm systems were threatening the US and the Caribbean. They are Hurricane Hanna in the Gulf of Mexico, Hurricane Douglas in the Pacific Ocean, and Tropical Storm Gonzalo in the Atlantic. Hanna strengthened to Category 1 hurricane, and was expected to make landfall in southern Texas. Hurricane Douglas is approaching Hawaii, but it's forecast as weakening before it reaches the island chain this weekend. Douglas peaked as a Category 4 storm early Friday, and is now a Category 2 storm with winds of 110 miles an hour. Steady weakening was expected to continue over the next 36 hours. As it approaches Hawaii. Tropical Storm Gonzalo is set to move through southern Windward Islands, bringing heavy rains and strong winds to the islands. Passenger is injured as U.S. fighter jet F-25 comes close to an Iranian plane. The pilot was forced to decrease altitude, injuring several people on the flight. Hurricane Hanna hammers South Texas, which is also hit hard by coronavirus at the moment, with flooding rains. Florida shatters record with over 10,000 new coronavirus cases in a single day. Scientists now confirm coronavirus is airborne. At first they thought it might have been droplets, so saliva and stuff like that, which was causing the virus, but now they are finding out that the virus is actually completely airborne. Florida orders schools to reopen in the fall. Someone in Brampton, in Ontario, Canada, hosted a house party with over 200 people. Ontario Premier Blast Yahoos wants the full extent of the law thrown at them. U.S. records nearly 1,000 plus coronavirus cases each day, for every single day for a week. Virus deaths have hit 150,000 in the US. Their estimates hit 224,000 by November. India sees more than 40,000 new COVID-19 cases. New tropical disturbance in the Atlantic poses potential threat to Puerto Rico and Florida. Because of escalated COVID situation in the US, some restaurants and bars have had to close. So, we're through the news part now. Now it's time to get into the personal part, and there's going to be some interesting stuff to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the things that I saw in the beginning of the month. In the beginning of the month, there was lots of talk about pedophiles, animal abusers, crazy people and stuff, and it really started to affect my mental health. I started seeing this stuff, and at one point, you know, I was really disgusted by it, and I was like in the bathroom after I saw like this person, and I'm not going to describe the image, but they were looking to hurt their dog, is all I'll say. And I saw this image, and I was in the bathroom like for about maybe 20 minutes looking at myself in the mirror, and I come back into the room and I actually experienced what they call depersonalization, which is I felt like everything was a dream, so like all this shit around me wasn't real. And I haven't experienced that really before, so definitely started to affect my mental health, so I took like a really long break from social media and the news because of that. Cancel culture has started to get me personally worried. I'm kind of worried about, you know, people that I look up to, what their future is going to be like, and even for my future, you know, if I mess up, was this the kind of thing going to happen to me, you know? It really scares me. It's something that's gotten me very worried, and it also kind of makes me miss the whole old internet, because I always felt, you know, on the internet was a great place to share and, you know, be uncensored. And I always liked the old times where we were really free to say a lot more and stuff, and with cancel culture, you know, it's really scaring me. It's something that really gets me worried. And the final thing is my personal opinion on the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm mixed about it. I'm happy because it's definitely going to solve a lot of the problems you have in the world right now. But I'm also worried because if whenever they come out with that vaccine, I'm going to have to get it. And I'm definitely afraid of needles, and I'm going to have to get it because if I don't get it, I'm probably going to die. Now, I know it sounds like a little bit of an irrational fear, but since what's been happening in the US, they've said that the deaths in young people have actually gone up quite a fair bit. So I feel like if they come out with that COVID-19 vaccine, I'm going to need to get it, period, or I'm going to die. So yeah, that scares me, and that's how I feel. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. Hope everybody enjoyed this episode. And yeah, I hope next month is a little better, and that's all I can say. This is July 2020, Place Camera Cancel. See you guys, peace.